Knicks insider James L. Edwards III of The Athletic put out his prediction for what the starting five is going to be for the Knicks in this upcoming season. Before we talk about that, I want to hear from all the real ones. Which player do you want to see be the fifth starter alongside the core four? Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for rolling in as we react to James L. Edwards III and his Athletic article where he talked about who he thinks is going to be the fifth starter alongside Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, and Karl Anthony-Towns. The article said this: ultimately, I think Mike Brown and his staff end up inserting Mitchell Robinson into the starting lineup permanently in order to best maximize the defense. My guess as of mid-August is that Robinson will be the first player to come out of the game for Yabusele so that the New York Knicks can lean into more of a five-out system with Karl Anthony-Towns shifting to the center spot. We've talked a lot about should it be Josh Hart staying in the starting lineup where he was all season long until the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers, or should it be Mitchell Robinson, who was inserted into the starting lineup in the Eastern Conference Finals? Well, if you look at the net rating in the playoffs for these players, meaning how many points are you outscoring your opponent per 100 possessions? Well, in the 335 minutes where Josh Hart was the starter in the playoffs, the Knicks were outscored by 6.2 points per 100 possessions. A little bit better with Mitchell Robinson, still not great. The Knicks were still outscored in those minutes. Instead of 6.2 points, it was 3.7 points per 100 possessions. Kind of paints the picture that I don't think either of these guys are necessarily the perfect fit. I think one might be better than the other. Edwards, elaborating, saying this: let me start with this. I think Josh Hart deserves to be a starter. And if he ends up not being one, as I predict, I think it says more about the Knicks and Brown wanting to improve the defense than it does Josh Hart. Having Mitchell Robinson as the anchor of the front line will help do that. Furthermore, if there were to be a starting lineup change, Hart would handle it the best of anyone in last season's starting lineup. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if Mike Brown did keep Hart in the starting lineup. He's a big fan of his hustle and ability to connect the offense. So we'll see. Still in the middle of August, still a long way to go. Training camp hasn't even got going yet, so something could change. But I do think Edwards saying this is noteworthy. He's tapped into the team. He knows what's going on inside the building, and I'm going to believe he predicted this for a certain reason. Not saying he absolutely knows, but he's probably connecting the dots. We also know that Josh Hart told Tom Thibodeau in the playoffs that he should come off the bench and Mitchell Robinson should be the starter. So I don't necessarily think there will be any bad blood if Brown does elect to have Robinson be the starter over Josh Hart, even though Josh Hart believes that he should be a starter, and rightfully so. Just had his best season in the NBA. To be honest with you, though, I'm not the biggest fan of starting Mitchell Robinson, and that's for a couple of different reasons. When I think about what this team needs to be the best version of themselves, Mitchell Robinson provides some of those things, but on the other end, where he brings up the Knicks' floor, he somewhat lowers their ceiling as well. We know with him, the Knicks are going to be a much bigger team. They can run that double big lineup, and we saw that work well at times in the Boston Celtics series. We saw that work well at times in the Indiana Pacers series. And we saw in the 2023-2024 playoffs, the Minnesota Timberwolves were able to get to the Western Conference Finals with Karl Anthony-Towns playing the 4 and Rudy Gobert at the 5. You're going to be a better rebounding team on both sides of the floor. I wonder how much of a focus and really DNA of the Knicks team under Mike Brown will still revolve around offensive rebounding. We know that was Tom Thibodeau's MO. And we know defense will be better. So size, rebounding, and defense is all going to get better if Mitchell Robinson starts over Josh Hart. My question would be this: if you're starting Robinson, is he going to play in back-to-backs this year? He did not last year. He was coming back from injury, and rightfully so. He shouldn't have played in back-to-backs. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters for him is, are you going to be able to be healthy in the playoffs? And are you going to be healthy long enough in the playoffs to get 16 Ws? And I think having him play back-to-backs may change this. And this is all that matters. And if you tell me, well, Marshall, we just won't play him in back-to-backs, then I would say, I think I counted 13 back-to-backs for the Knicks schedule this year. Don't quote me on that. I'm bad at math. But in those 13 games, are we just going to run with a different starting lineup? Maybe. Probably not the end of the world. But I would like for my starting five to get the most reps as possible. And I don't love the idea of having to change that every single time you play in a back-to-back. And we know Mitchell Robinson is someone that has not really possessed the ability to consistently be healthy. And I don't know if starting him every game and playing back-to-backs and getting a lot of high minutes in the regular season is conducive to this, being healthy for the playoffs, which at the end of the day is the only thing that matters to me. There's also pros of starting Josh Hart as well. Mike Brown wants to play fast. He wants to get up and down. He also wants to play fast in the half court. And I think you're able to do that better with Josh Hart. He cuts better. He can operate on the floor from different spots better. And I think that he just fits a Mike Brown offense a little bit more. 5 offensive threats. Look, I'm not going to try to convince anyone here that Josh Hart is some awesome offensive player, but he did average, I believe, his career high this past year in points per game. He started off the season shooting 40% from 3 and having 5 guys who can all dribble the ball, all make a play for themselves, pass, cut, and be at least at minimum some sort of threat on the perimeter is going to help. He's also going to help with some spacing, sort of. We know that Josh Hart is someone that has a shot that is very inconsistent. He can get hot, and there can be stretches of weeks where he is not. And we saw in the playoffs, other teams put their starting centers on him. But he is more of a threat on the offensive end than Mitchell Robinson. So pace of play, 5 offensive threats, and more spacing for Karl Anthony-Towns and Jalen Brunson to work. And even if they do crash and help off of Hart, he is one of the best backdoor cutters in the NBA. I also think, though, Josh Hart should come off the bench. I am one of the biggest Josh Hart fans in the world. I named my dog Hart, so I don't want to hear, Marsh, you just hate Josh Hart. No, I don't. Got to have Hart. I've said that more than anybody in the world. But I do think he is better served in a smaller diet, like maybe 28 to 30 minutes per game instead of 38 to 42 minutes per game. And in those minutes, he could play more of a Josh Hart brand of basketball, which is balls to the wall, dive it on the floor, being that Energizer Bunny, and pushing the pace off of the bench for the New York Knicks. To be honest, I don't really even think either of these gentlemen are the best starter for this organization. I think the path for the Knicks to win the NBA title is pretty evident. With Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony-Towns, your defense is going to be your Achilles heel. And the way to kind of mask that is to have the best offense in the NBA. And I think that's really one of the only ways this Knicks team can win it all. You need to maximize your offense so that it can somewhat mask your defensive efficiencies. Go all in on offense to make that side of the ball better and outweigh your defensive struggles. If you try to do both at the same time, you're just going to lower the floor of your offense as well as the ceiling. So the question becomes then, who on this roster can you add into the starting lineup that can elevate the offense and elevate the defense? It's Miles McBride. I've been saying it now going on 2 seasons. Before the season started last year, I thought Miles McBride should have been in the starting lineup over Josh Hart. And I'm not going to say I was vindicated on that. Hart was awesome last year. But I truly believe if you're trying to do both, elevate the offense while also elevating the defense, Miles McBride, he does that. First and foremost, he would give you a true point of attack defender. Mikal Bridges did a solid job last year while playing at a position on the defensive side of the court. He can guard small guards. He can do that, but he is a better defender off the ball and on the wing. Look how he defended Jalen Brown. Look how he defended Jason Tatum. He was able to somewhat do a decent job against guys like Trae Young and Cade Cunningham, but he's better on the wing. And if you could have Miles McBride be that point of attack defender and you have OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges defending on the wing, that is going to significantly help your defense and help you in the pick and rolls as well. You can run a true 5-out offense with Deuce. You can have 5 players on the floor who are all plus 3-point shooters in this league. It also gives you another ball handler. We saw against the Indiana Pacers, when they upped the ball pressure, the turnovers for the Knicks, they upped as well. and it allows Jalen Brunson to play off-ball more, who, by the numbers, is the best off-ball player in the NBA, going on a couple of seasons. Of all players last year to play in at least 60 games, Jalen Brunson had the league's best points per spot-up. Think about it like this. When he played off the catch last year, every time he caught the pass, he scored 1.38 points per possession. Those are unreal numbers. And it's replicated and shown in his catch-and-shoot three-point percentage. On catch-and-shoot threes in 2022-2023, his first year with the Knicks, he knocked down 47.6% on 1.9 attempts, 44.5% the following year on 2.5 attempts, and down all the way to 42.1% this year, 1.9 attempts. He is one of the best in the NBA on catch-and-shoot threes, but overall, playing off the catch, he is one of the best in the NBA, and he was number one in points per possession. So you get the best, and even more so out of Jalen Brunson on the offensive end, while also upping your perimeter defense. And the numbers, they suggest that the best two-man lineup is Jalen Brunson and Miles McBride. When Brunson and Robinson shared the court in the regular season, they were outscored by 0.2 points per 100 possessions. They did outscore other teams, though, by 2.4 points in 100 possessions in the playoffs. Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson, they outscored teams when they shared the court by 1.3 points in the regular season and were outscored by 2.1 in 100 possessions in the playoffs. Miles McBride, the Knicks outscored teams by 6.9 points per 100 possessions in the regular season and 9 points, the best on the team of any two-man lineup in the playoffs. 9 points. They're outscoring teams per 100 possessions. Maybe there should be some more chatter about Deuce McBride being in the starting lineup. I'll expand on these thoughts coming up in a second, but this New York Knicks Nike t-shirt, it is on sale. It was $35. Now it's $28 at this link. Chatsports.com/NY sale. Chatsports.com/NYK sale. That's chatsports.com/NYK sale. That link will be clickable down in the comments and description. Take advantage of the deal. It won't last forever. If you were to start Miles McBride alongside Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, and Towns, you would still have a really good bench unit. Your backup guard would be Jordan Clarkson. Your backup wing would be Josh Hart. Your backup four would be Guerschon Yabusele. And your backup five would be Mitchell Robinson, still with the ability to play Tyler Kolk and Pacome Dadier and Ariel Huck-Porty. This team's going 9 deep. The 9-man rotation is Clarkson, Hart, Yabusele, Robinson, McBride, Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, and Towns. Those are going to be the 9-man playing every single night. And I just think with Miles McBride playing, it allows Jordan Clarkson to be that guard off the bench. McBride comes out, Clarkson comes in, Brunson comes out, Clarkson goes in. One of the wings go out, Josh Hart comes in. You want to take another one of Anunoby out, that could be Yabusele, or Mitchell Robinson come in for Karl Anthony-Towns. I would make Miles McBride the fifth starter. That's what I would do. I don't know how likely it is. Seems like it's the least likely of the three options. But that's where I'm at. That's what I would do. I've given you the numbers. I've given you the data. Do it again. What fifth-year starter do you think, fifth-year starter, what fifth player should be the starter on this team? Robinson, Deuce, or Hart? My guess is Mitchell Robinson will be that guy. I think that is what the front office wants. I think that's what we're going to get. And that's what your roster is going to look like. Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, Towns, and Robinson, with Yabusele most likely being the first guy off the bench. And then a guy like Clarkson coming in for Brunson, McBride coming in for Bridges, and Hart coming in for Anunoby. And those are going to be your 9 guys. I'm fine with any of the 3 starting. I think all of them will work out. But I definitely lean more towards the Deuce McBride being in the starting lineup. The data shows, all the way back to the Manuel Quickley days, when Brunson plays alongside another guard, he's at his best. I don't know why they don't lean into that a little bit more. Maybe Mikal Bridges will handle the rock more this year, and they'll try to replicate those looks. We'll see. I'm getting pumped up, though. Knicks basketball, it's almost back. It will be back. It's right around the corner. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram @MarshallGreen_.